Hello and welcome to Analytic Talk. I'm Anna. Let's start today's episode with a recent article by the Financial Times questioning whether China really ended extreme poverty. It has sparked a lot of debate about facts, about framing, and about how stories are told. But here is where it gets interesting. The author of another piece, Media Myth-Making, Mistake, Mischief, or Malevolence, Professor Robert Walker, was actually interviewed for that Financial Times article for about 90 minutes. But in the final piece, only a very small part of his views appeared. So the question is, was this skepticism or selective storytelling? Professor Walker took it a step further. He asked the AI tools to analyze the article, and what came out is something worth paying attention to. 5 common techniques often used in Western media narratives. Let's break them down in plain terms. Number one, anecdote as evidence. You take one emotional story, one person, one village, and use it to question a nationwide policy affecting hundreds of millions. It's powerful, but it's not representative. Number two, selective geography. You focus on one of the poorest regions like Guizhou and subtly let the audience assume that's the whole country. It's not false, but it's definitely incomplete. Number three, moving the benchmark. First, you acknowledge China reduced extreme poverty, then you switch to a higher standard, like the World Bank's 8.3 US dollar line, to argue it's still failing. Same data, different framing, different conclusions. Number four, emotional anchoring. You open with a difficult, even shocking story, and that story shapes how the audience reads everything that follows, before any data even comes in. Number five, mixing unrelated issues. You connect poverty policy with things like COVID, property downturns, weak consumption in a short time span, even though they are not directly caused by poverty alleviation itself. So put all this together, and you don't necessarily get false information, but you get a particular narrative. Now, to be fair, Professor Walker is not saying China is perfect. He openly acknowledges the challenges, the complexity, and the ongoing risks. But his core point is simple. If you want to understand something as big as poverty reduction in China, you cannot rely on fragments of a story. You need the full picture and the full data. So here is the real question. What does Professor Walker actually think about China's poverty story beyond how it's portrayed? I'm very pleased to say I had the chance to speak with him directly, a professor emeritus at the University of Oxford and a recipient of the Member of the Order of the British Empire for his work on poverty and social policy. Let's hear from him.